We set up our warehouse, and the people in our parts department, they're right next to the warehouse door. So if they need to look at something, pull something off the shelf, if a customer needs additional pictures of it, it's right there. We've really only hit the tip of the iceberg as far as everything that we purchased. We're adding 20 to 30 items a day, but there's another 2,000 to 3,000 items that we need to add. We'd like people to understand that we're not just a parts guy answering a phone, entering a part number, that we really know the cars, that we can help, that you're not just buying the part from us, you're buying the assistance. You're getting the knowledge and the help of what part's the right part for your car, how to put it on, where it goes, a little bit more than just here's your part, thank you kind of thing.
The penultimate round of Spec-5 World Tour, and it comes to Circuit Park Zandvoort in the Netherlands for a 45-minute race. Quite a challenging track. Apparently, I've just heard the first track outside of North America that iRacing scanned and put on the service. It shows its age just a little bit. Maybe some updates are going to come in the future. But for the meantime, it's where Spec-5 World Tour plays round 12. I'm David Haynes, joined by Devin Peters. Go to rcsales.com for all that is Porsche. RC has thousands of parts available for virtually any Porsche model, providing high-quality service with a personal approach, and with worldwide shipping available, you won't need to go anywhere else. Visit rcsales.com today. Devin, what are you expecting to see out of this European foray from Spec-5 World Tour?
Well, I know VIR has the roller coaster, but if you drive around this track, you're going to go up, you're going to go down, you're going to get twisted all around. And it only makes sense that the Max Verstappen ring, Zandvoort, would be kind of this zany track with all these weird corners on it. But it's going to be a good show today. I think we're going to see a lot of separation in the field, and we're going to see all of the track limits explored, every single one.
Remember to keep your arms and legs inside the race car at all times. Scream if you want to go faster. Fantastic. So what we're in right now, qualifying 15 minutes, 4 laps, and that for Mike Dam, one of our race winners, one of the championship contenders in a way. That is not the quickest way to qualify.
No, that is a Canadian strategy. I've seen it before. He did that on purpose. Come on, Mike.
I can see through you like a sheet of glass, buddy, but fair enough. So yeah, 15-minute qualifying, 4 laps. They get around here pretty quickly. It is just over 2.5 miles, so the lap times are not quite as long as Road America or some other places that we've been in the championship already.
Yeah, should be like I said, it should be an action-packed track today. It really truly is a track that demands a lot of the driver. More than most, and it's not so much the risk of going off track as it is just, like I said, there's a lot of blind corners, there's a lot of weird corners, just a lot of shapes that you don't get to see on your average racetrack. Ronnie Coates takes the green flag there.
Yep, so they're just taking the start of the first of their 4 flying laps at the moment. And yeah, indeed, Ronnie Coates, one of the first drivers to come across the line there. So he was very, very quick out of the box from pit exit to get out into qualifying. Like I said, with the slightly shorter lap here, I don't think you needed to be in an absolute hurry. But we're going from morning into towards the middle of the day. So a chance that the track heats up as we go might help if you qualify early. Ronnie Coates climbs up through the S's. Track drops away through one of the quicker corners here, where Mike Dam has left some nice little tracks out in the otherwise beautifully prepared gravel. And then at the far end of the circuit here, a series of 2 hairpins that this is one of the widest parts of the track, really invites drivers to get down the inside, and the optimal line is a compromise here. Do you use all of the track to one side, then try to get all the way back to the other to open up the next hairpin, or do you try to find a shorter line through there? It is a personal preference kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where there's like, I'm sure there's an optimal answer, but all the ways you screwed up on the way into the corner are going to determine what the right way out of it is.
Things get interesting at the end of the lap here. You can use almost everything that isn't grass or gravel there, and you want to be able to hold it flat out through this final corner. It's like a big baseball wind up onto the pit straight, and then you approach turn 1 at significant speed. And we're going to see the first lap time from Ronnie Coates, 155.3. Samathon, 155.6. Simon Foweather, 155.5. Time's starting to come in now.
Yeah. And as we kind of tend to see in this thing, it takes a lap for the tires to come in. So we're seeing some quick laps out there, but I'm expecting we'll see quicker on the second and third.
Simon Foweather, who's gone second at his first time of asking, but still with 3 more attempts in qualifying to go.
Yeah, and you can really see some of the elevation change through this section of the track, up and down and winding all around. And then this corner always gets me because it's so fast, but it's also so blind.
It always gets me because I have no idea how to pronounce that. The others, I've got some guesses. Ari Luyendijk-Bocht, Tarzan Bocht. I'm on top of that, but I believe it's like Schreevlach.
Ah, yes, the Slaughtermacher-Bach. Or you're talking about the Schijflach.
Schreevlach, yeah.
I need to go spend some time with Duolingo, learn some Dutch.
Kane Lasky went to second. He left pit lane a little bit later than the others, so he's out of sequence as far as the time that the runs are coming in. But it flatters him a little bit because everyone puts in their first flying lap, and then he moves up as his comes in, and then everyone will do their second lap. And when he completes his second, he'd probably expect to jump up a little bit. We've got our open class drivers as well. Tom Aton's about to cross the line for his second flying lap. His first attempt was pretty good. Charles Vaccaro was just ahead of him. Yeah. Shortly, it'll update to reflect his improvements.
I really like the look of Kane Lasky's car. It's really pretty livery with the red and the yellow. Had a pit start a couple weeks back, but he's clean and clear today. So putting in a qualifying time for us.
It's Andrew Gilliland. And there is Kane Lasky crossing the line, jumping up to third place.
Yeah, Mike Dam's tire warming strategy coming in though with 54.4 leading the qualifying right now. Like I said, it's a secret Canada thing. You wouldn't know.
That's fine. Like, I also don't know where you keep the strategic maple syrup reserve, and I'm okay with that because it's a matter of global security, basically.
Hey, we're all about our public monopolies up here. Let me tell you. We'll save that for the podcast. Dam, though, making his way around the twisty corners here. That's, I believe, the Bach 9 and Bach 10. And we're heading towards the Hansers-Bach.
It used to be called the Audi S, I think, here, which it never quite feels like an S to me because you've got a 90-degree right-hander in and then you kind of hook into basically a carousel hairpin. It doesn't feel like a chicane. It feels like a hairpin with a challenging entry. Then you carry almost flat out here, and then you're looking to just keep it pinned all the way to the line. Dam's had some good sectors. I suspect he's up on his previous lap, not by gigantic amounts, and some other drivers are improving too, like Ken Copeland. Ronnie Coates goes to second. Michael Coates goes all the way to the top, but what will Mike Dam get out of this lap? Enough to go right back up to the top.
Yeah, he may have blown the first turn, He kind of got it back to the apex, but he got it in there really, really hot. Coates though flying out there. That was, I believe, only his second lap qualifying. Yeah, so that's a quick second lap for him. Really diamonding the exits of these corners too. That's kind of a little bit different than what we've seen from some of the other drivers.
I do see some different lines, particularly, through Hugenholtzbocht there, where there's just a little bit of banking, and that always tempts you to try to focus on the exit a little more because the corner catches and carries you a little bit through the middle and helps your mid-corner speed, which is otherwise something that you would prioritize in these cars, is that minimum speed through the corners right at the apex. You want to keep that up, which gives you the more looping shapes and driving lines rather than the pointed angular ones where you drive in square, turn, square off the exit to get the traction from the horsepower that you don't really have in these.
Yeah, that's right. And as you can see just on the overlays here, like if you've never had the pleasure of driving Zandvoort, you owe it to yourself. Even though it's an older scan, it is really a special track to get around. And you can tell just by how funky that shape is.
And if you buy it now and the new one comes out in the next 3 to 6 months, you'll probably get all of your money back as credit anyway. So, two for the price of one potentially, depending on when the new Zandvoort scan does release and exactly how they play it. There's Michael Coates crossing the line again. His second lap was good.
Yeah, quick.
Third lap.
I was going to say quick, but not quick enough to improve this time around.
No improvement on the third lap, actually.
Kind of was following along with him, saw a little drift. And we actually saw Mike Dam hit the pit lane that time by 2, so no more improvements from him. Decided to practice his entry. Ken Copeland's out there stringing together a first sector right now. Looked pretty sharpish at that first turn. Only lost 600s.
Yeah, and the last lap was good. That's the tighter line against the curbing. Just getting a little bit of it on the exit. Half a tenth down in the first sector, though. You're looking to find a tenth or so around the rest of the lap to pick up. He's done it in the second sector, so that must have been a good exit out of the hairpin turn. Or, as they call them in these parts, the Harschbeltbocht.
Ah, yes. I just wish I could smell the excellent Danish food cooking on the slopes around here while they're all racing.
They're going to cancel your visa. This is in the Netherlands, man.
Oh, my bad. Michael Coates is kind of putting one together, too. A couple quick sectors in a row. The fourth sector is actually kind of rough for him, unfortunately. Curious to see what his optimal's looking like. Comes around the final corner here, though.
Yeah, that's very wide through the final corner there.
Yeah, that looked like pit entry, and sure enough, and we get a look at this kind of challenging pit entry. It's blind to the cone, so you kind of got to throw it in there and then slam on the brakes and almost drift it across the speed line. Ken Copeland coming to the line now. He puts in a pretty quick one. Unfortunately, 11 thousandths slower than his last one, so not enough to move up the timing screen.
Yeah, just fell short of improving. Ray Lombardi, our token Dutch driver. I'm imagining he picked this circuit.
It does seem up his alley. Got the orange roll cage, you know, for his people. Surprisingly few smoke canisters going off today.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Maybe they're saving it for Ray if he wins the qualifying here.
That's not it.
Oh,
that's not it, buddy. Nope.
He must have felt the pressure of all these eyes on him, you know? Woo! So back on board with Kane Lasky. He's currently sitting 6th.
And I think he's done, and he's coming around maybe to practice the pit entry. So he won't go any higher than 6. There's only a couple drivers left that could improve. Rui Coimbra is one of them. Been pretty impressive at times this season.
Yeah, had a really strong finish at Laguna Seca, and if I'm honest, this track kind of shares some genetics with Laguna Seca in that it's got very unique corners and a lot of sort of high speed, high commitment corners too.
And a pit entry where you can get in too hot and smack the wall.
Yeah, it's got one of those too. I really enjoy how at the inside of this corner, it's got this weird circle of curving. Sometimes we see it on the camera angle, but it's a funky little sausage curve they got in there. Looks to me like Rui might be still learning this circuit a little bit though. Not quite the clean laps that we usually see from him. And he didn't set any laps in practice today, so he's getting his feet under him.
And this will be the last one that counts for him as well, with only 20 seconds left on the clock, and it only jumps him to 16th, which, is a little different what we might have expected for him.
Yeah, a little out of position for him, but, there's always the Hard Charger Award on the table, as well as the Mr. Clean Award, so we'll see.
And that just about goes and locks in the grid then. For round 12 of the Spec-5 World Tour, pole position goes to Mike Dam, and he'll be sharing the front row with Michael Coates. Behind them, we'll find Ken Copeland and Eugenio Pellicci. Ronnie Coates and Kane Lasky on the third row. Simon Foweather and Trevor Roy behind that. And Geordie Fike and Sean Hayes 9th and 10th. Odyssey Adams Jr. and Ray Lombardi 11th and 12th. Brian Zabelski 13th. Andrew Gilliland is the first open class driver there in 14th. David Stabe and Rui Coimbra behind him there. And into the remainder of the open class drivers, Tom Ekdon, Josh Olsen, Charles Vaccaro, and Andy Kosick. That looks like a pretty good qualifying for Andrew Gilliland then, to see a couple cars between himself and where the rest of the open class drivers are.
Yeah, on the points front, Andrew Gilliland's going to need to do some pretty miraculous things to keep Tom Ayton out of the championship. It's mathematically possible, but Tom's got a pretty much a stranglehold on it with the drop weeks all considered so far. Only 2 more rounds to go, including today. So we'll keep an eye on that battle and see how it progresses. Another one that we'll have to keep an eye on is Ronnie Coates, because he is still leading in the points, but he's only in 5th today on the grid. And as you mentioned, Mike Coates, Rui Coimbra, Eugenio Pellicci, all kind of factors in the points race for the pro class.
So the pace car speed is not super rapid around here, as evidenced by the fact that it hasn't gone yet. Now it has. That's 64 kilometers an hour, which is probably...
Let's do the math. You can do it.
Oh, no, I reckon it's 39 miles an hour.
Rounded wrong. It's 40. How's the air temperature going for you? You got Celsius to Fahrenheit today?
No, not a chance. I reckon that's got to be high 80s.
69 Fahrenheit.
Oh, track sorry, temps. I was looking at track temp. What's the
track temp's 88. You got that.
Yeah, okay. I was enjoying this guessing game.
So, as you're seeing on the screen, speaking of things that are on the screen already, we've got the red cars. The red underlines are for the pro class cars. The red numbers are for the pro class leader today, and then the blue numbers will be for the open class leader in points, and the blue underlines will be for the open cars. And then, of course, as we're getting down to the end of the season, we got to start the drive, the membership drive for next year. So if you support the league, there's a few different tiers that get you a variety of perks, including fancy numbers, gold for our biggest supporters, silver for our medium supporters, and bronze for our entry-level supporters. But in addition to getting sick numbers on the broadcast, you also get, depending on how much you contribute, either multiplied votes in the track selection process, or even the chance to pick your own track. So kind of cool opportunity. And like we mentioned, this could very well be one of those selected tracks today. Ray Lombardi's home track. And also worth mentioning that as we're into the final 3 races of the season this year, we've only got familiar names on the track, so no new drivers being added to the league right now, just to make sure that we've got familiar faces and no ringers coming in and wiping out the points leader.
So with a 45-minute race now, the driver's going to have to come through pit lane at some point to take their fuel. We've seen the in vogue strategy change from circuit to circuit. Many times it's looked like just stay out as long as you can and then stop, because if you stop too early, it drops you back into some traffic, will cost you time in that traffic, but that hasn't always been the case everywhere.
Yeah, the pit window is going to be pretty big today, despite the fact that there are some committed corners. It's pretty wide, and with the amount of sort of one-line corners or corners that permit a lot of battling and a lot of lost time, I wouldn't be surprised to see some different pit strategies out there today.
So the field, get ready for the start. Going too wide before they go through the final corners, letting the pace car get just a little bit further away. And again, the front row, according to the iRacing Club, Mike Dam of Canada and Michael Coates of Pennsylvania. So you can call that a, double Mike front row in a way.
Eminem.
Please don't sue us. Behind them again, Ken Copeland and Eugenio Pellicci. Ronnie Coates in 5th, maybe thinking championship today. You're going to see that pit entry in effect when pace car makes a violent shift and the green flag waves. Ronnie Coates was ready for it, but then he got boxed in behind. Simon Foweather pulls all the way to the inside. You got Rui Coimbra making some moves in the background as well, but he gets boxed in, nowhere to go. It's super narrow on the way down towards turn number 1 until that little bit of pit exit gives you a little bit more width through the first corner. But Michael Coates, he has flummoxed Mike Dam and gone to the lead of the race as they all continue to build tire temperature.
Yeah, it was 3 wide deep in the field, 2 wide pretty much everywhere, and they're still doing it deep in the field. Got David Stabe trying to make some moves around the outside in the middle of the pack, and I think the big loser so far is maybe Brian Shabelski taking it very easy off the line, losing 4 spots going through the first turn back there.
Junior Pellicci grabbed a spot. He's there in 3rd, but with Ken Copeland all over his bumper. Sean Hayes is too wide as they come through the corner that I can't name. And Tom Athon has gone for a little bit of a ride. Andrew Gilliland, the open class pole sitter, he's also out in the same gravel trap.
Yeah, and Aton critically barely managed to keep it off the wall, but that's cost him a ton of time. We said there needed to be a miracle. This could be the start of one. Andrew Gilliland's going to have to make some ground up in order to make the points count, but the 2 of them were racing hard into the corner, and no love lost between the 2 points leaders in the open class, that's for sure.
Wow, yeah, racing for the open class lead, and they touch and they both go off. Josh Olsen goes through to the lead of that class all the way. Up front, Mike Dam has gotten past Michael Coates to get back to the race lead as they come to complete the first lap. Still building tire temperature. Eugenio Pellicci in 3rd has a bit of a wobble, and it's flat out through this final corner. Ken Copeland will be getting close, getting in his slipstream and looking to set him up into turn number 1 if he can. And then Ronnie Coates and Kane Lasky are just behind that as well. Copeland closing. Now he pulls out to look to the inside to try to take away third place. Breaks it in deep. Just starts to catch a little bit of the banking, and it looks like he will get through for third.
Impressive stuff there from Ken Copeland. Only his first season in the pro class, and he looks like a veteran at this point, dicing up the inside.
Mike Dam not getting away here. Less than a car length to second place Michael Coates, and a big drift from Ken Copeland as he's just got up into that third place recently. That looked like Rui Coimbra going out way wide there. Actually, it could have been Odyssey Adams Jr. because it was just behind Sean Hayes. A lot of hashtag not a team drivers.
Yeah, Odyssey got a little wrong. It's easy to do, especially when you're on the outside line there trying to carry a little bit extra up the hill. And in these cars, it's so critical to carry that momentum. And for those of you keeping track, Andrew Gilliland right back onto the back of the pack, still a few seconds back for Tom Athon.
So these are the leaders, different lines as they go through Box 9 and Box 10. I'm going to apologise to anyone who knows how to pronounce numbers in Dutch, but going wide, Mike Dam, he gets across the grass. No good drive there. Michael Coates goes back to the lead before they get down into what was formerly the Audi S, and they clip Devon's favourite curbs.
Really
no, I'm with you. They're interesting little curbs there. Kane Lasky's offline with Ronnie Coates looking to get past him on the inside. It compromises both of them through the penultimate corner. It's flat out down the next. So if you do try to battle someone through that corner, you could be compromised all the way to turn number 1. You can see Simon Fobo there just behind. It's got no margin to Trevor Roy and Geordie Fike right behind him. Someone's got no margin to the grass out the final corner there as well.
Yeah, that was Josh Olson throwing 2 tires onto the grass as he's pushing. Brian Chabelski making up for lost time after the first lap. He's only down 2 spots, but fighting for his life with Josh Olson behind.
Still really close with a couple laps completed, getting on to lap 3 of the race now, and only real gap in the field seems to be between Polici in 4th and Ronnie Coates in 5th here. He was battling with Kane Lasky. They lost just a little bit of time to the leaders, but I don't doubt Ronnie Coates to be able to close back in on the race lead in quick order now he's got a little bit of clean air.
Yeah, I really am seeing all throughout the field drivers losing time from battling. You almost got to wonder as soon as that pit window opens if we'll see a few of them hit the lane.
This is the race lead. Ken Copeland now up into 2nd. Mike Dam back to the lead. So Coates has dropped back a little bit as he led at about this point a lap ago when Dam ran wide out here. It looks like you want to get a bit of that curb. You don't want to step out onto the gravel, onto the dirt.
Ray makes a nice move up the inside of Odyssey Adams. You see it deeper in the field. He's just clearing them as they head into that tricky little S section there of the Hans Urspach. Cleanly done.
Coates sensing a vulnerability of Eugenio Polici, who's dropped away from the leading 3 just a little bit. They'll file onto the pit straight. Mike Dam from Ken Copeland, from Michael Coates, from Eugenio Polici and Ronnie Coates. Still Josh Olson leading the open class. Often we talk about the pro class drivers and the open class drivers being a little bit interleaved, and if you're an open class driver who can get a couple pro class cars between yourself and your next competitor, you're doing well. But they are in complete order now. All pro class drivers 1st to 15th, and then all of the open class drivers in a line from Josh Olson, Charles Vaccaro, Andrew Gilliland, Andy Kosick, and Tom Athon just a little bit further back at the moment.
Yeah, and you'll have noticed, again, if you're paying attention to that open class battle, that Andrew Gilliland found his way around Andy Kosick as they got to the line that time. So he's starting to make up some ground from that issue he had on lap 1 with Tom Athon there. Be interesting to see if he can make quick work of this open field. He really did seem to have a pace differential with Andy Kosick. And honestly, I think it kind of speaks to the skill ceiling of this track, because it is the corners have such odd shapes and they're so wide on entry and exit that you end up with kind of all kinds of different approaches. It's almost like when you watch MotoGP or something like that, you got guys doing 15 different lines. That looked to me like is that Eugenio Pollicci giving some time back? Yeah, he still is.
I think you might have a problem here.
Yeah, he seems to be really struggling. That might not even be time lost at this point.
Yeah, he's off the track and parking it now. He gave up 4th place. Looked like he was carrying on, but slowly. And now he has dropped all the way to the back. Eugenio Pollicci. You can see you're leading 3 all within 1 second. Ronnie Coates trying to hunt them down. Kane Lasky then leads the group from 5th at the moment, and it is quick fire. Almost the whole rest of the grid behind him there. Michael Coates goes one side of the track all the way to almost kiss the pit wall. And I don't know why.
He wanted to make sure he read the pit board, But yeah, definitely a little breakaway forming here at the front. Top 3 getting away. Ronnie Coates trying to find his way back up to that lead pack. And then a little gap again to Kane Lasky and Simon Foweather, who are dicing it up a little bit. Simon Foweather taking the wide entry and Kane Lasky playing real defensive through the hairpin there. Andy Cossack and Charles Vaccaro back in the open class are battling it up. Vaccaro gets the better run on Andy Cossack and manages to hold him off. But they were side by side through the Gerlachbach? That's probably more right. Spicy throughout the field, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The field's still this close at this stage. You think that the pit stops are going to carry a little bit of extra importance if there's not that much difference in race pace or pack separation. Lasky looked like he ran a little bit wide out of box 10.
Yeah, really, really key to be perfect. Ronnie Coates actually runs it in a little bit deep that time, just ahead of this battle that we're watching with Simon Foweather. And Simon Foweather has a little wiggle at the apex too that's going to cost him a car length to Trevor Roy behind.
Gone on the internet, and it looks like this shouldn't have surprised me. The Dutch for 9 and 10 is 9 and 10. So,
ooh. Michael Coates.
I don't know what he's doing. He's doing it again. Is he trying to, on his own volition, break the toe to Ronnie Coates?
Possible. It's a little curious. It seems to me like there's more than enough time, almost 3 seconds between the two of them. There wouldn't be a draft, but maybe he believes there is. Either way, the gap is staying pretty much the same and still battling deep in the pack there. Is that, we're watching Andrew Gilliland?
Gilliland's got to the lead of the open class. He's passed Josh Olsen. I think he's passed basically everyone on his way back to the lead of class here.
And he's going to need to pass a few more, and there might be a few available to him with the pace he's kind of been putting down. He's gone and done, what was that last time, by a 56.0 with battling, and a 55.2 is his fastest lap, which would easily put him ahead of a few of the guys in front.
Foweather with a wider entry, looking for a later apex than Kane Lasky. Sort of not a particularly long straight, but from turn 10 down here to Hans Ernstbach, it's kind of the second longest straight on the track. Or at least it leads into a bigger braking zone than at Sky Black.
Yeah, and as we're watching these guys going around the circuit, you really can kind of see just the familiarity and the commitment playing out. Kane Lasky goes and gets those right side tires onto the right-hand side of the curb going into the area line Dyke through the Kumo right, I guess, before it. And meanwhile, Simon Foweather behind doesn't quite get the same level of commitment. And sorry, am I calling that out wrong? Yeah, Simon Foweather behind. Michael Coates doesn't make his funny move down the straightaway this time.
Yeah, I noticed that. He's given up on kicking up the tyre marbles and pulling out his granny glasses to read the pit board.
That does raise an interesting point. I wonder, it could be a tire cooling type thing, though I thought iRacing mostly patched that out. Otherwise, we'd see everyone putting 2 tires in the grass, you know?
The surface has a temperature, that's the thing. So theoretically, yes, the parts of the racetrack that they're not racing on are cooler, but I'm not sure in a straight line, not loaded, if it makes much of a difference at all.
Does make some sense. We'll have to inquire about it, especially if he manages to stay on the back of this battle at the front. We do see Mike Dam and Ken Copeland kind of breaking away almost a little bit here. Only 700s between them at the line, and 3 whole tenths back to Coates at the start of this lap. That now looks a little bit more like 8 tenths.
Looks a little bit more like 6 to me, because you've got to measure him to Ken Copeland, not measure him to Mike Dam.
Strong argument, but still, he seems to be struggling a little bit to keep the pace with them. Speaking of passes, Ray Lombardi's making a move up the inside. When he dives back into line at the last second, he was really lining up Sean Hayes there, and he's mentioned before, Sean Hayes is kind of his target.
And a few of them run a little bit wide in that space between approaching to the final corner, Arie Luyendyk Bocht, really trying to maximize their run into that corner, but not getting it perfect. And you've got to be careful, there's a landmine out there somewhere. No, it's not left over from when there was World War II anti-aircraft batteries here, but it's just a little bit of a very, very sharp dip, almost a pothole out in the gravel that will really, really hurt if you go out there and find it.
Sean Hayes definitely feeling the pressure here. Ray Lombardi was up the inside of him on turn number 1 and managed to get kind of a good run, closing the door on Lombardi, but these two are leaving no quarter right now. Ray Lombardi looking to get the upper hand on the home track, of course.
Yeah, he should have been our pronunciation consultant, because he'd have it all down pat.
Ooh, big lock up there. It's easy to lock up that inside front right going into that corner. Behind, we're seeing some defense as well. We flipped over to David Stabe as he was taking a defensive maneuver from Rory Coimbra, and then back ahead, Ray Lombardi's side by side with Sean Hayes again.
They are. Looks good for Ray as he then has the inside at the hairpin section, and Ray Lombardi moves up into 9th. 3 positions gained from where he qualified, but they have just let the next group of cars get away a little bit, so there's a bit of time to catch to get to Geordie Fike and Trevor Roy, those next cars in front.
Yeah, and this is lap 8, and I think lap 8 is about as early as we can expect any of these guys to come for the pit lane, by the calculations we've seen. So it will be interesting to see, and sure enough, we do see one taking the option. Brian Shabelski goes and hits the lane this time by. Shabelski down 2 spots from where he started. Might be feeling like he'll do a little bit better in clean air. Only taker, though, for that first lap.
He is going with the left-hand side tyres as well. Guess most of your quick corners here are right-handers, particularly around the far side of the circuit and at the final corners. So he gets away after 19 seconds.
Trying to solve a mystery right now. Tom Aton had, sure enough, as I was looking for it, back on lap number 7, he had a little 360. So let's not count that miracle out. That cost him about 10 seconds on the track, so he managed to get it back pointed the right way pretty quick. But this is certainly playing into the hands of Andrew Gilliland.
Look at the replay here. That's where Ken Copeland gets wide. Michael Coates goes through into second place, and Mike Dam tries to take away a 1 second lead. Don't think they're going to let him do that.
Mike's Dam is doing it right as we see him get all the way wide. This corner is a little bit easier when he got downforce. I don't think these Miatas are producing much in the way of downforce, unfortunately. A little bit of weaving down the straight, but not too much. And this banked first turn, you can really sort of dive it in there and then let the banking save you on the exit. And that's what Mike Dam attempted to do, but he got it in even a little bit too deep, and I think Michael Coates made some ground in the first turn.
Open class leader pits. Andrew Gilliland in the lane. That's interesting to see, but he's obviously looking to do something different than those that he was racing with. Andy Kosick, Josh Olsen, Charles Vaccaro, etc.
Yeah, he did have a bit of free air ahead of him. So a little bit surprised to see it, but he'll definitely have free air when he comes out. And he leaves a big cloud of smoke as he leaves the pit lane. Nicely executed burnout. And he, I promised clean air, but he's going to be coming out right with Brian Schabelsky in the pro class. Schabelsky's got the overspeed into turn one. He takes the move around the outside, and we'll see if we get a little bit of a battle here between Schabelsky and Gilliland for us. The first of our pit callers today.
It's a key point, though, that you don't want to stop early and then have to battle. You'll get overcut by everyone else. The point of the strategy is to do something that separates you from everyone else and means that you can run quicker laps on average, you'd hope, without battling. So Schabelsky and Gilliland will both have that on their mind, that they're both trying to undercut the drivers they were respectively racing in pro and open class.
Mm-hmm. Schabelsky so far holding them off, though. Just looking at the lap times, they were fairly evenly matched. Either way, we're back on board with the leaders, and that 1 second gap is no more. Michael Coates right on the bumper of Mike Dam here, and Dam pushing to the limits on the exit one.
Yeah, the Dam couldn't get away. Michael Coates and Ken Copeland right back in behind him. These three qualified in the top three and in this order, so no positions up or down. Oh, Ken Copeland, he rides way too much of the dirt, gets it so sideways. I thought that was going in the barrier.
That was a really good catch. You get the right rear tire just a little bit wide on the exit, and that's the only thing that touches the grass, and it feels like a sure thing that you're going in the wall, so that was well held by him. Crucially, though, being the third guy in the line, it didn't cost anything for the guys ahead, and with the draft, he'll probably be able to make it up. Ronnie Coates is seeing that ahead of him, though, and hoping for more dramas, because he'd really like to close down this gap. 3 seconds between him and the lead right now.
Yeah, Ronnie Coates and Kane Lasky have been pretty quick the last couple of laps, so they have been quicker than Mike Dam at the lead. See Ray Lombardi's side by side with Trevor Roy. Got Sean Hayes just behind that. A bit of action happening in the mid-pack here.
Roy is trying to scare Lombardi, and Lombardi's having none of it.
Lombardi trying to get around the outside of the right-hander, but it doesn't quite work like that, and he drops back in line. Geordie Fike leading this group at the moment, and so I think they'll stay with him.
Kind of is a wonderful thing, this track, with how many different lines you can run. Lombardi really trying to toss it deep, and he's going to get the spot this time, but that's because Trevor Roy is taking the pits. Also seeing too wide behind them, that's Odyssey up the inside of Sean Hayes going into turn number one. See who's braver on the brakes. It's Sean, but Sean's going to slide wide. Even the banking couldn't save him from that one. Odyssey gets the run up the inside, holds it down real tight. It's going to cost him, but he's going to have the preferred line right before the hairpin. As they stay too wide, though, it's going to be Sean Hayes up the inside before the big straight here.
couldn't clear him in the right-hand kink before the left-hand hairpin, so Sean Hayes maintains the position behind Ray Lombardi and Geordie Fike, and Odyssey Adams Jr. will have to wait another time. We've now had 3 drivers pit as Trevor Roy comes in. Bit of a longer stop from him, 22 seconds, but he will still be ahead of Brian Shabelski.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good gap on Shabelski and Gilliland.
Josh Olsen stops as well.
Shabelski repping Penguin 176 on the car today. Not sure what that
and
difference
Copeland's
is.
got a slight update as well.
Yeah, that's a slick looking paint job on his car.
I think he's added a bit more orange for this round.
Yeah, getting into that Dutch spirit. I like it.
It's nation singularly responsible for 95% of the world's consumption of orange marine flares. It's just a little bit off the tail at the moment here. Last couple laps have still been good for Ronnie Coates. Kane Lasky's at a good pace as well. You can see that they're just not in the slipstream, but they are hanging around. They are just there in the back of shot at all times.
Speaking of back of shot, Sean Hayes and Odyssey Adams are doing the side-by-side thing into turn number 1 again. Sean Hayes breaks late, and this time too late. Odyssey holds the inside, gets a good run, and clears him easily through turn number 1.
He does. He goes up into 9th place. Whoa, but then he runs wide. He runs quite wide out of the left-hander. Yeah, I was about to say Hugenholtz boxed, and then I doubted myself, but that's what it is. He's going to cover it as they go flat out here, but it's kind of a series of sweeping S's and then into a very quick corner without a big braking zone, so it is tough to pass even if you get a good run up that part of the track. You get into this one part of the circuit where it's all a bit wider. From the pit buildings and the pit straight all the way around, you're on the old classic 1960s track until just before box 9 there, where you turn off onto the, it was sort of reconfigured in the 80s or 90s or so, and this part is a little bit wider than the traditional old circuit. Sean Hayes, he's got his nose in front. He's going to try to chop across. It's a bad run off of box 10 for Odyssey Adams Jr. David Starb also tried to have a look. Starb in the dark, if you will, but it's not going to work. And I will, by the way.
Odyssey kind of got it all sorts of wrong, but Staub still got the inside line here going into Kumo, and he's it's really hard to hold the outside here, and I don't know if Odyssey's going to be able to do it. He gets lots of space, but he has a moment there, and that was almost 2 Not a Team cars collecting each other there as Rui Coimbra was coming up quick on the back, had to lift out in order to give him space. David Stave now holds the spot. Nicely executed by him up the inside. Keep saying Stave, I mean Staub. Staub holds off Odyssey. Odyssey might be losing the front end of the car at this point. He's starting to struggle with a lot of braking zones.
Yeah, another kind of little hint of a lockup as well as the camber dropped away the inside in towards turn number 1. So he finds himself now sitting behind Rui Coimbra.
14 laps in is starting to put us close to the end of our fuel window. We'd expect to see drivers running out of fuel in the next lap or 2. Might explain how Ken Copeland's managed to find his way back onto the lead group, as Mike Dam is now, or still out front rather, holding Mike Coates, but the two of them are maybe not putting in their fastest laps at this point of the race.
Two seconds from Copeland in third to Ronnie Coates in fourth. He's been that distance away for almost the last 10 laps now, it feels. Just not able to catch the leading group. And he sense he could ruffle some feathers if he could. And he also then hasn't had the slipstream some of those guys in front of him have had to save some fuel. Because the temptation is, all right, well, let's just short fuel it at the stop. We'll save a little bit in the back half if we have to, but just want to bridge that 1 second gap. A lot of them, all of them, looking for the pit entry here. A whole top three. Mike Dam an inch away from the Armco on the way in. As he commits to pitting, they all look to follow him except for Ronnie Coates, who's going to try to overcut. Mike Dam, where are you?
He's gone and got lost in the Great White North. I'm not sure where he's gone, but that could have a major effect on the points. He was one of the drivers that was kind of competing. Oh,
He's
no.
back. I think he's back.
I still don't see him on my end.
I see his quality. Oh, no, that's getting worse. As the number gets smaller, that's getting worse.
Well, let's hope he's able to find his way back in. Pulling away from the pits, we got Ken Copeland and Co. No sign of Mike Dam, though. Andrew Gilland, Simon Foweather took the pits that time by as well. Oh, man, we've lost one of our leading drivers here.
Yeah, Ronnie Coates carries on, trying to run long. Kane Lasky, Jordy Fike, Ray Lombardi also haven't stopped yet. Still no Dam.
Heartbreaks for him. And he's disconnected by server message. I think that's the end of Dam's performance tonight, unfortunately for him. Must add some beavers in the telephone poles, Always gets you.
You're far better positioned than me to, make a joke at the expense of any of the telecommunications providers. They'll be like, oh, must be a Rogers customer or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure where he's sitting either. Ronnie Coates knows where he's sitting, though. He takes that pit entry with a lot of confidence, and he'll lead across the line this time, but it'll be curious to see what he's able to do in the pit lane. Speaking of the pit lane, we saw sort of mid-range stops. Andrew Gillen took a shorter stop than all of our top three, so there might be a little bit of room for optimization depending on how much fuel they were saving, and the whole field's in now. We've got Odyssey, we've got Davis Stapp, we've got Roy Coimbra, Andy Costa comes by, Ken Copeland's coming by, and I got to think Ken Copeland's the front of the field, and he is going to hold on to that. Michael Coates too, as we see Ronnie Coates leaving the pits behind him. Not a fast stop from Coates, must be said.
No, so it does spread the field out just a little bit. Two drivers yet to stop, Ray Lombardi and Andy Cosick.
Andrew Gillen's crossing the pit blend line as he goes into turn number one. And that's pretty significant for Gilland. By the looks of things, he's up to 15th place. He needs to make a little bit more ground, though, in order to make these points count.
Still just behind Jabelski and Starb.
Yeah.
And they've got a little bit of time to where Sean Hayes and Odyssey Adams Jr. are right now.
Big saves from Ray Lombardi and Andy Cosick, who've managed to go a lap longer than expected, as they are running at the front of the field right now. And
very, very safe assumption that Ray Lombardi's probably pitting in this time, and we can get a look at this pit entry, because the chicane on entry is slower than what the pit lane speed limit is. So you actually need to slow yourself up a little bit extra to make that turn, and then engage the pit speed limiter, and you can almost pick up a little bit of speed once you straighten out in the lane. He gets to his pit stall.
Ken Copeland was hoping for a draft this time onto the pit straight, but Andy Cosick pulls off to take the entry. And Copeland will carry on, retaking his spot at the front of the field. Pretty big gap there after the pit stop, it must be said. It was about 2 seconds on the pit lane between Copeland and Coates, and it continues to be about 2 seconds between the two of them. And considering how Copeland seemed to be struggling to stay on the back, Yeah, it makes the guy wonder if he was just doing a little bit extra fuel save on that front group there before.
That's always the strategy portion of these races is, do you want to go aggressive in the first half, or do you want to try to really, really save, try to find someone to ride with in the first half, and then get yourself a little bit of track position right here. Ken Copeland's been able to do it. Michael Coates has done it a little bit. Ronnie Coates there has quite a bit of work to do in these remaining laps to try to catch first and second. He had great pace, but he was all by himself in the first half, and then he had to take a little bit more fuel.
Yeah, I wasn't quite able to break down the barrier of that draft, and it cost him. Closest battle I'm seeing on track right now is between Jordy Fike and Trevor Roy in 8th and 9th. Jordy had to take a bit of a defensive line from Trevor. Two of them pushing though, and seeing some variation in the lines. Heading down to these Audi S's, Hans Erstbach, whichever one you want. And the two of them do a great job on the entry there. Really critical to get your tire on that inside sausage curb in order to set up the left-hander on the way out. And rolling a bit of speed, the two of them do a really good job through Kumo as well. Trevor's going to have the draft here.
Yeah, I think Jordy would like to catch Ray just in front of him there as well to maybe help protect himself. String of cars go down the pit straight, glinting in the sun. And Jordy Fike has just gotten to within the 1 second of Ray Lombardi that he might have liked to try to hold off Trevor Roy.
Ooh,
You've got a couple of...
I was going to say, Ronnie Coates has just made a move on Michael Coates after Michael had a bit of a moment in what is that? That's the Gerlach Wacht. Coates locks it up, and then tries to accelerate but loses the rear on the exit, and Coates all of a sudden comes flying by. So Coates now up to second place after us saying that he'd need a little bit of help.
MC was like 4 seconds ahead of Ronnie not long ago, so something else has happened before that for Ronnie to get that close.
Yeah, looking at it, it looks like there's a little bit of an issue in Bach 10 with a similar sort of thing where he kind of caught the inside edge of the curb and then had to lock it up. Either way, locking it up, we've got Ken Copeland locking it up out at the front. 4 second gap now, and the two guys behind are going to be battling.
Track's getting toastier. It's warming up for sure, so it will be getting slipperier from the race start to now. And we're seeing some of that as you also then start to just overheat and slide your tires after all this much racing, depending on what tires you did or didn't take. There's your race leader heading down towards the braking zone of 1, and then Coates, and then Coates.
Ooh. A little bit of drama between Roy Coimbra and Trevor Roy there coming through the final turn. Trevor pinched down on Roy, and Roy had to put 2 tires in the grass and then save a slide. He's might not be willing to let much go here as they go into turn number 1. Roy takes a very defensive line and has to brake so much that Roy gets right up alongside him, and they nearly touch mirrors as they go through the first turn. We'll see which one blinks as they get down towards Gerlach. Roy holds the outside, carries a bit more speed, and he's going to have the line and the corner as they go in. And Odyssey's right behind the 2 Nada team cars, making a sandwich of Trevor Roy.
Starting to play for keeps in the final 10 minutes of Spec-5 World Tour from Zandvoort.
Open class leader Andrew Gilliland up to 13th place now after taking the spot from Brian Shabelsky. So pretty good from him, and there might be a little bit more on offer if he can make some ground to David Staub ahead.
Also been looking at how quickly is Ronnie Coates catching Ken Copeland It was about half a second last lap. He's, I think, just going to run out of time if that's all he can find, if Ken Copeland doesn't need to save, if Ken Copeland can keep pushing on. A little bit of contact deeper in the field there as well. I think Geordie Fike, is trying to pull his way through here, and he's gone door to door with Odyssey Adams Jr. They're still side by side in the penultimate corner here. Odyssey's in shallow. Geordie trying to carry more speed out, but has Sean Hayes right on his bumper as well.
Draft's going to be key on this one. Sean Hayes pitches it out kind of wide, trying to carry a little bit extra, but gives up something on the curb. And momentum's key, and he didn't have it.
Everyone coming across to the inside and then back to the racing line on the pit straight as the slipstream works the magic that it always does in this style of racing.
And a little bit of drama here developing with Andrew Gilliland. He sends a couple messages in the chat, pass right, and lifts on the main straight to let Brian Schabelsky by. I gotta wonder, he had an awful short pit stop. If this is a fuel-saving measure, how close is he with 6 minutes to go here?
If you go to hjbc.live, it'll tell you that his pit stop was 16.6 seconds. My stopwatch would tell you 17, but both of them would agree that he had a very early and very short pit stop, did Andrew Gilliland.
Yeah, and he's, well, if he's that short on fuel, he's going to be working for it to make it go here. He, I want to say he's nearly a full second shorter than anyone else that's out on track right now.
What's happened then to race leading Ken Copeland? Ronnie Coates leads now. Michael Coates and Ken Copeland. We've had a change for the lead.
Yeah, just a lapse in concentration by the looks of things as they were going through the Masterbach through Bach 9, and you get 2 tires off, you get 4 tires off, and all of a sudden you're in 3rd place. That's a real heartbreak for Ken Copeland, who was looking to take home his first win. Hard to maintain your focus around a demanding track like this, but now he's running 3rd and making the move up the inside into 1 on Mike Coates. Clears him easily, but he's got a lot of work to do to catch up to Ronnie.
It might have sailed on that one a little bit, so we'll have a look. Copeland was leading. Curb there. Oh, and it just runs out a little bit wide. The track keeps turning to the right, so you can't rejoin. And from a tiny mistake, he just can't get back onto the racing surface, and he takes a extended tour through the outfield.
Gotta think the tires were probably feeling pretty bad after that too, cost him through the next few corners.
He might have almost just had it on the bag, but here's a bigger incident for Sean Hayes.
Yeah, that's Sean Hayes writing the car off as he gets a little bit wrong on the exit, and we saw Ken Copeland do this earlier, and it cost him a little bit, and he was able to save it. Sean Hayes not so much, puts it into the wall and decides towing is the safer option.
I suspect Ken Copeland will be kicking himself. He had a 4-second lead with 4 laps to go. He could have given up a whole second per lap and still walked this one home, but just a little mistake drops him away from a win. Ronnie Coates has had a couple before, and he's looking for another. Great way to close out the championship from him, you'd think.
Yeah, leading the points. He's got wins at Interlagos and the Nürburgring, and he comes back on another European track to sort of put his stamp on this season. Not what you needed if you were Michael Coates or anyone else that wanted to be battling for that championship.
A lot of other positions undecided. Are we going to get 3 wide? Kane Lasky, Ray Lombardi, Rui Coimbra. We are down towards turn number 1. Lasky wants to hold the inside. He just taps Lombardi, and Kane Lasky goes around, and he is filthy about it.
Oh, that's gotta hurt. That Kane's gonna take the tow, and that's gonna be a long tow to get back to the pit lane. That's going to be potentially a position for Andrew Gilliland when all is said and done, who's still following Brian Shabelski back there in 12th place. And Lombardi now, it's still not settled because Rory Coimbra is putting a lot of pressure on him up the hill. Dives up the inside there, going into the Masterbach. Doesn't quite have enough. Sorry, that's Scheiblack. Now they're going into the Masterbach, and Ray knows that corner well. Really confidently gets to the apex on what is effectively a blind turn-in. Ray rolls a little bit more speed there through Bach 9 though, and he's thinking about the inside line. Ray has to hold it, but Ray doesn't quite manage to. Roy's going to get the run, and Roy's right up the inside here as they head down towards the Hans Urschbach. And when you're on the outside, you can break a little bit later. And if you hold the outside through here, you can get the inside on the next one. Ray takes the apex though well. And Roy has to give it up, checks himself up there. And Trevor right behind them, also having to hold off Odyssey. This now the team battle with the rest of the folks is really heating up here.
Yeah, starting the final lap, Ronnie Coates has no one in his mirrors, but for the rest of the field, a lot to be decided on their final lap of Zandvoort. Michael Coates and Ken Copeland close together. Simon Fairweather's on for a 4th place if he can bring it home. And of course, Rui Coimbra is side by side with Ray Lombardi on the way into turn number 1. Around the outside, Rui Coimbra has been really confident in that position and in this opening part of the lap, picking up some spots. He's 11 positions gained in this race so far, 16th on the grid. He, on the final lap, makes the pass up into 5th. Trevor Roy looks like he's under a bit of pressure from Odyssey Adams Jr. there as well. Geordie Fike and David Starr are going to fight over 9th. How about Brian Shabelski trying to tow around Andrew Gilliland, who we still think could be short on fuel and needs to cough and splutter his way to a checkered flag if he's going to be the winner in open class.
Yeah, I'm riding on board with him, and it's short shifts and everything in there right now. He's really trying to make this work.
This is 2nd, and these tight hairpins of turns 9 and 10. When you're in front, you want to be on the shallow line. You want to try to defend it, but with all that extra real estate around the outside, Michael Coates can carry speed in, ride it across the curb, and try to challenge Ken Copeland in these final podium spots. Copeland's racing middle of the road, and it seems like the inside here at Hans Urschbach is absolutely the place to be. No one gets around the outside of the right-hander to get the inside of this hairpin. And it's got to be a drag race off the line. Copeland runs it wide and is only just going to keep his nose in front here into the final complex of corners. 6 seconds up the road, they both run out wide. Ronnie Coates is looking for another race win in Spec-5 World Tour, and he'll get it at Zandvoort. Ken Copeland's got to just look straight to the line because Michael Coates gets a great run off the final corner, but Copeland will hold on. And Fairweather looks pretty pleased with 4th place. Rui Coimbra, 5th, biggest mover in the field.
See David Staub in the pits on the last lap there. He had a bit of an incident. Ended up having to tow it after going straight on. He was battling with Geordie Fike and wrote the car off. And then a bunch of other finishers there. Andrew Gilliland's going to be a beneficiary as he crosses the line. Narrowly behind Brian Shabelski. That was real close between the two of them. Manages to make it though with the fuel, and now it looks like he's shaking the car around. And Andy Cossack comes across the line. One of our final finishers there on the lead lap, but not the final one. Tom Aiton, open class, manages to recover all the way back up to 14th after the dramas on lap 1, and behind him we see Charles Vaccaro crossing the line, and Sean Hayes will be coming along as the final car on the lead lap after his little dramas earlier on, taking it home clean and clear. No sense risking the car when you're the last guy on the lead lap.
Yeah, Hayes will be the last, so there will be no changes to this. Ronnie Coates the winner, Ken Copeland in 2nd, Michael Coates 3rd. Simon Fairweather in 4th. Rui Coimbra raced his way to 5th, making a lot of passes. And he ends up ahead of Ray Lombardi, Trevor Roy, Odyssey Adams Jr., Geordie Fike, and Brian Jabelski as the top 10. Andrew Gilliland gets the open class win from Andy Kosick, Tom Ayton, Charles Vaccaro. Sean Hayes, 15th out right there ahead of David Starb and Kane Lasky. Josh Olsen, kind of a late retirement, could still be classified. So too Mike Dam and Junio Pellicci, the 20th car, retired with what certainly looked like a technical kind of problem.
Yeah, I heard from Mike Dam in the comments that his system decided to reboot itself mid-pit. So it, like I said, it took a whole beaver taking down a pole, just to shut things up for the Canadian. But it's a shame for him, and a great finish the rest of the way around. Really impressive drives, both from both our pro winner and our open winner.
Let's see if we can't speak to both of them. How about we start with the pro winner? Ronnie, just had to drag you in and say congratulations on the race win there. Seemed a little unpredictable, and you had that first stint just trying to catch the lead group, and you couldn't get there. But afterwards, everyone else seemed to lose their head.
Yeah, I think I was overdriving it just that tiniest fraction a little bit. It's like I know I'm faster than this, and so yeah, I was just keeping that gap just almost steady lap after lap, and then I don't even know what happened. I actually screwed the pit stop up really bad. I hit my clear button and it didn't stop fueling, and I'm like mashing the button. I don't know if it's not my own right or what. And finally, so anyway, I took like 3 laps extra fuel, and like that really threw at the door. But I also had left side tires, and at the end, I was pulling them like crazy. I knew I was going to catch Ken, and when he went off, that just made it easier.
Did you feel the track changing? Because the temperature, the needle went up, and there were a few guys who looked like they were clean in the first half that started to stumble later on.
I didn't notice that much, but what I did notice, I finally just said, quit overdrive and let, drive within the grip. And even if it meant, feeling a little slow, and I felt like it started paying off. I think the tires started to cool down and actually started putting together some good laps.
Well, we've spoken to you a couple of times. You've picked up a couple of wins, and there's just one more race to go, 90 minutes at the Indianapolis road course. Are we going to see you there? Is it a chance of the Ronnie Coates show this season?
Well, let's hope so. I'm not very familiar with that track, but this was a new track this week, and I obviously like this one, so we'll see what happens next week.
We'll see. We can look forward to it. You can look forward to it. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Managed to find our open class winner as well. Andrew, a great performance, but I got to think that the big question is going to be about lap 1. How'd you see it?
Lap 1 was really tough. First of all, I'd like to apologize to Tom Athen. Don't really know what happened there. I believe that was on me. I think I could have left more space, but in the situation, we're all racing, and I made a mistake, and I apologize for ruining his race, or at least ruining his chance to finish better.
Well, despite your issues on lap number 1, you found a bit of pace, managed to drive your way through the whole open field. How were you feeling on that first stint?
Yeah, it was really nice. I actually kind of stayed in the back a little bit with Kosick, and I just kind of started to drive my way through there. So it was awesome to get that track position before pit stop started to come in, and the undercut strategy really, really worked for me. It put me up in the front, and I was fortunate to have somebody to run with and save fuel on.
I was going to say, it looked like a pretty short, pretty aggressive pit stop from your part. How close were you on fuel at the end?
My overlay, so Caps was saying that I had 0.3 gallons left, so I had just about a lap left. But I think I nailed the pit stops here, which is amazing.
And noticed about 2/3 of the way through the race that you lifted on the main straight, let Brian by. Was that strategic for the fuel or just a slowdown?
Yes, it was strategic for the fuel. My overlays or my information was showing that I had 0.03 gallons left in the tank, and I think it was a glitch. I don't really know, and it ended up changing. So I was kind of getting scared there at the end.
Well, impressive drive from the youngest driver in the series. Anyone you need shout out today?
I'd like to thank my family, especially my dad and my grandpa, for making all this possible. I'd like to thank Aussie Sales Porsche Parts for not only sponsoring Spec-5 World Tour, but sponsoring my car and just being a part of everything.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to hear from our winning drivers from both classes. And yes, next week, the final round of the championship. It's a double-length enduro on the Indianapolis road course. You'll see it live here on HJBC. So make sure you follow us on all of our platforms, wherever you're watching, for the Spec-5 World Tour and a champion crowned next week. And we echo Andrew Gilliland's words. Thanks to RC Sales Porsche Parts. Go to rcsales.com for all that is Porsche. RC has thousands of parts available for virtually any Porsche model, providing high-quality service with a personal approach. And with worldwide shipping available, you won't need to go anywhere else. Visit rcsales.com today. Devin, we can't wait for next week.
I'm stoked for the end of this season.
Penultimate round is run and won in Spec-5 World Tour. See us in 1 week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.